We don't get any of the shit that we want. Our taxes are going up. You want to talk about that shit?
Yeah.
6.9% after what was last year? 9.5%. And the year before, what was that? 7.3?
Something. Yeah.
7 point something.
And you got
What?
bike lanes, no bike lanes. You don't know what's
Bike
going on over
lanes.
there.
We need bike lanes.
Sacrifice the
We don't need
cyclists.
bike lanes.
You know,
What
like
the fuck?
keep them on the sidewalks. Jeez. I'll tell you a crazy story, which people love to hear. Should I tell it now? Might as well. So I'm in my car, driving back from up like North York region.
Yeah.
Go through a seller's needs consultation for a guy who wants way too much money for his house. So I tell him the truth. I'm on my way home. I got an offer that I'm negotiating. Irrevocable is 3 o'clock. I've already got my sellers like saying, "Hey, all right, we'll take it. Let's go." But we got till 3 o'clock, okay? Otherwise, it expires. So I got a call from another guy who had already received an offer from, and he says, "Well, what's it going to take?" And I said, "Well, this is what it's going to take." But I said, "You only got till 3 o'clock, and it's like 2:30." So I don't know. Yeah. I said, "I don't know if you're going to be able to get this done or not." But I said, "I'll be fair to you.
Firm
I was
deal.
fair to the other guy.
By 3 o'clock.
This is what you got. You got half an hour to do this. Otherwise, we're ready to take the other offer." That's just what it was. And it was a good offer. The other offer is a fantastic offer.
Firm, though? You asked for a firm deal?
No firm deal. Nobody was firm. So
Nobody was firm.
I said, okay. What do you send me the offer? He goes, "Well, I'm in India and I'm in a taxi on the way to the airport."
You got a phone, bro. That shouldn't stop you. Let's go.
And I said, "Well, I'm in my car heading back from, up north back down to the city.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Time's ticking."
Yeah,
So I said, "But I got my laptop." So he said, "Send me an offer irrevocable for 15 minutes. And I'll get it done." Said,
And I'll get it done.
Call my sellers. And they're like, "Listen," they're like, "This is crazy. We already got a good offer. What are we doing?" I said,
what are you doing? You're playing with our emotions, TK.
This offer's a little bit stronger. It wasn't even that much stronger. It wasn't even that much stronger. But it was stronger.
You typed up the offer? It was you made it?
He already
he
sent me the offer. So we just made the changes, sent it back, 15, 20 minutes, irrevocable. And from India, got it done.
Let's go.
And
what's the price point, TK? What are we talking about?
Over two.
Over 2 million from a cab in India, and the market is dead.
Yeah.
What's going on? So is that a multiple offers scenario?
Yeah, there was 2 offers on the property after 60 days on the market.
What the fuck?
So he was really upset. He didn't believe me. He goes, "What do you mean there's another offer?" Because he came in first.
Yeah, for sure.
He's like, it's you're lying to me. Like he was basically saying,
we were kind of having like
a beef.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was like,
"You're a dick."
No, he was just so upset. And I was
his perspective, you're a total dick.
And I was basically
love it.
Just like, no, yes, but I was telling him I'm really sorry. Like I'm just like, listen, like because the day before him and I were talking, and I'm like begging him. I'm like, "Please, I'll cut your buyer's grass if you guys bring me an offer for a year for free. What do I need to do? I'll clean their eaves troughs." Like I was ready to throw out all the options here.
Okay.
And then I wasn't willing to do that anymore once I got another offer.
Of course not.
So I just said, make your best offer. What do you want me to do here? I got a great one, and I got a great offer that came.
Wow. And so I guess the other guy's going to have to disappear. So really, there's
both guys now are still interested. And the one guy said, "Listen, if those guys drop the deal, we're still interested." So my guy should be good either way.
Well, and what about the guy that you were talking to before? Is that
both those guys are still interested.
Yeah. That's the same house we're talking about right now?
Same house. Oh no, that guy right there. No, that's a new listing that just
another listing.
Yeah.
And people are on it right away.
That one's getting a lot of showings.
Bailey's going to a listing tonight. She took someone for wow, that was an interesting story last night.
Right? Yeah.
But things are picking up, eh? TK? Well, this is crazy. Okay, listen.
No, things are
not picking
they're
up.
Down. It's going down, Darryl. It's never gonna come back up.
Never gonna happen.
Canadian real estate's a bad investment. Don't
buy
it.
Bubble.
Don't buy it.
Bad. Well, that's a great time to ask everybody to sub to the channel, TK. Throw a comment in there. Tell us what you're thinking. Should this show still be called the Canadian Real Estate Show, TK? Because we seem to, talk about other stuff quite a bit. Anyways,
Do we know?
just,
Do we know anything about other stuff? Or are you
do we
guys
know
like,
anything about real estate?
know?
If you listen to the people out there, we don't know much about real estate, but this is the perfect time to ask for a
know
like
much about nothing,
or a
right?
sub, right? We don't know much about nothing.
We got
And
John Flynn today, Darryl.
yeah, for a couple of guys who don't know much about nothing, we finally got the coveted John Flynn on the show.
The
We've
oh
been
so
trying.
popular John Flynn. I've been asking him
Very
in the
popular.
comments of his channel for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I imagine he gets lots of requests. I'm sure he's a popular guy. And I'm sure that a lot of times it's requests from people cooler than you and I.
Much
But,
cooler than us.
you know,
Anonymously cooler.
We had our fans help us. We had people reach out to him and say,
Yeah.
John, just do it. Let's
basically
go.
bullied him, I guess, right?
Get over with it. And here he
Get
is.
over with it.
Yeah. He's coming
what does
on
that
the show.
mean? Get over with it. What does that mean?
Get
TK?
on with it.
Get on with
Get
it.
over it.
Everybody.
You guys, everyone else knew what I was talking about.
That guy knows how to get views. He knows a thing or two about real estate. He definitely knows how to read the charts. And make the charts.
It's a good start for someone with a good channel.
It's
Absolutely.
good. TK,
Yeah.
do you want anybody to do anything other than subscribe to this channel? Do you need people to reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, people can check out the link below if they want in my Calendly link. So it's a 15-minute call. So by all means, check that out, and you can book a call with me. But I want to hear about you, Darryl. You had a really good meeting this week.
I had a great week, and if you want to, I have a call to action as well. TK, can you join my
Darryl?
Substack, everybody? My Substack, please.
Do you
take a look
do
at
you
my
have a call to
Substack.
action? Substack? Is there a link?
Substack.
In,
There's
in
a link
the description
somewhere.
below.
Yeah, I think maybe
That's convenient.
That's convenient. How that works.
You're doing really great on that article.
That article's starting to
your
come
newsletter.
around.
It's when I read that, I'm like, this is a lot better than mine.
Yeah, it's a little fun. It's kind of fun. No, I love your newsletter. I feel like it's quite insightful. I think you should have some way of people joining that. But I guess you got to buy a house or look at a house or something.
No, you can do the same thing. You can send me the Calendly link and just say you want to be in the newsletter instead of actually talk to me.
There you go.
And I'll do the link for you. I'll set it up for you. I'll put you in the contacts.
Well, isn't that wonderful? What else do we have? We got merch store, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah,
can we please do that merch?
Week
Can we please do that merch commercial again, like right now?
Right now.
Are you looking for the best merch store on the planet? Well, we got the shit for you. Coming in at low prices where we barely make any money off of whatsoever, you can get the greatest real estate merchandise on this platform. Just look at this very flamboyant man putting on this great stuff. He looks great, he's dancing great, and boy does he look sexy in that merchandise. I tell you, buy this for anybody, you buy this for yourself. You will be not only repping the greatest Canadian real estate podcast in this world, but you will also be looking hella good doing it.
Yeah, so tell us about this week.
Holy Mackinac, TK. I got Thelma zoning approved in 6 months, man. That is crazy, okay?
I thought it took 7 years to get zoning in Toronto. Like, Darryl, if you're going to build, it's going to take years before you're able to get zoning.
Oh, my God. These quarterback couch, what are they called? Armchair quarterbacks in the cheap seats telling me you're gonna be tied up forever, fighting with everybody forever. They're gonna crush you in there. Dream on, dummy. Right? Go fuck yourselves.
And not even like an as of right type of deal. This
not
was
even
like,
close to as of right.
You crushed it. Yeah.
Fucking crushed it, cranked it, and it's the building that we submitted basically, like the last time, which we didn't even have to change the building. So. But it got a little hairy there in the hallway. I'll tell you that much. It got a little hairy in the hallway. But I got to say, and I'm going to give a big shout out to
people
Josh.
throwing F-bombs?
I don't know if they were throwing F-bombs. I stayed out of it. I just sat there, Greg Ewins, the best planner on earth. He went and he pacified everybody, I believe. But what I wanted to say, TK, is most of the time I'm crushing the politicians because I dislike most of the things they do. But got to tell you, Josh MacLeod this time. Big shout out to Josh MacLeod because, he took an honest approach, which is, weird to say. But he said to everybody, listen, guys, like the province is mandating more density in this area. And I love the village too. But the reality is that there's going to be even taller buildings coming. And we have to just get ready for it and prepare for it. Right. So whether we approve it here, or we make them go to committee of adjustments. Somebody's approving this thing, and it could get even higher. So I suggest we all, keep working together to because the real issue is traffic. Everybody's worried more traffic because it's a fucked up traffic street, TK. A fucked up traffic street.
Traffic in Toronto is just plain bad.
But here it's a dead end, and it's beside a green pea, and there's a TD and a Starbucks, and everybody owns the street, right? Like everybody in the city owns the street.
I get my Starbucks from there every day, and I want to park illegally on that curb for 6.5 minutes while I go in line to order my grande cafe.
That's right.
Macchiato.
Well, and even if you
caramel macchiato,
if you do it for a minute and a half because you were kind enough to order it in advance and you're just running in, the point is everybody's fucking parking wherever they want, and it's fucking up traffic, and it's hard for garbage trucks to get down there. They can't turn around, so they got to go backwards. It's a mess. So, their concerns are warranted, but I think they are mitigatable, if that's English, TK. But we're gonna do things. We're gonna join forces with the rest of our neighbors, because we all own property on the street. We're neighbors. We're gonna fix the street for everybody, TK. I'm gonna make it my mandate to help make things better there. After I fuck them up completely, because the construction for a few years is gonna make a mess, TK. That's the honest to God truth. Whether it's townhouses, whether it's a 20-story building, or this beautiful luxury boutique hotel style 7-story building, it's going to be messy for a while. So we can get through this together, everybody. But great day for Darryl, the dumbass, got zoning approved in the Forest Hill Village in 6 months.
It's got to be a record. I think it's got to be a record.
Got to be impressive at the very least, right?
I don't think there's anybody who just got zoning in the last year where it took that little.
No.
Now, going forward, that might happen again. You might have set a precedent, and that things have changed over there, and people look at you and they'll say, geez, like I could fight for more, but he got his zoning in 6 months, and I'm paying 12% interest on that debt.
Yeah, for another year and a half.
And so they might say, you know what? Why don't we just do what he did and just work with the city and see what they're willing to support and get the zoning over and over done with?
Well, and this is the thing. If you look at most of the applications that are in there, if they're not going back in for another 10 stories now, they were already probably pushing the limits.
Yeah.
What should the people do?
What?
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'm double subscribed. Do it yourself. Didn't get to fix the show, though. Didn't get to fix the show.
But that's the way it goes right now in the city, especially in these MTSAs.
Yeah, especially in the MTSAs near the subways. Listen, you can fight and cry and kick and scream all you want. But anyways, listen, there's problems there. We're going to try not to exacerbate the problem. We're going to try and mitigate the problem after we make the problem worse. And listen, we can't pretend like that's not going to be the case. But a lot of stuff going on, TK, a lot of things we need to talk about other than John Flynn, I think. Oh, listen, next week, TK, we got Mark Morris coming on the show. That's exciting. He's got the most views of all time, his episode. So Mark like having him back.
Friend of the show. Absolutely.
Friend of the show.
It's weird when people see people on our show. And hopefully John becomes a friend of the show too and wants to come back, like Luke last week. Yeah, and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe you got Luke. Or why did you get Luke? You guys, he's been on the show like four times now. He's like our friend.
Live. Yeah.
When is he? We talk a little bit of smack sometimes, but not like against him personally.
We don't have to agree, right?
Yeah. It's not like we're like, we don't want him to do well. We're happy.
You're a bull. You're a bull, TK. You have to be a bull forever. You're the bullish. You're the most bullish.
Sometimes I am. You know what I mean? Like, well, whatever. We want him to do well, and we're not like against him in any way. And
I'm a delusional.
He'll be back.
TK.
He'll be back.
I'm a delusional bull. Well, anyway, so Mark Morris next week, and then the week after, TK, we have been summoned by the gods, TK. We have been summoned by the gods, and we have a civil duty, you and I.
Yes,
because we've been reached out to by some folks. I think some of them are in Owen Sound, but the properties are in Owen Sound. Remember, we did a little segment on BG Wealth Management and a bunch of people getting
crooks.
Rude. Listen, it's alleged. Okay, we only have one side of the story, TK.
I don't mind putting myself out there, Darryl. I'm not on Twitter. They can't attack me.
We invited the guy from BG Wealth on the show, and I don't know if he'll come, but we got the Owen Sound a lady that broke the story.
Mhm.
She's a journalist out there, and we're going to have a few of the victims come on the show and tell us what's going on. And we're going to see if we can make a difference, TK, because this
That's
is
what this
why
show
we're
is
here.
all about.
Right? It's all about making a difference. So, I mean, what else do we got? Canadian home sales dip in December, expected to surge in spring. Maybe we should debate that one with John.
Let's talk to John
good.
about the data on the real estate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everything else is like we can talk to John. Why don't we get John on the show now?
Let's
He's
do
sitting
it.
there. He's waiting.
Let's do it. People, we already talked about him once. People are like, get on with the show, guys.
Get on with it.
We don't need
Get
to hear
on
you
with it.
two
Here
talk.
we go. Here we go, everybody. John Flynn from Flynn Real Estate in Niagara, I believe.
All right, I'm here. One second.
here? He's here.
There we go.
Finally. Yes.
Finally, you guys sent me
He's
the invite, man. I've
he's
been
real.
waiting.
He's been
What
waiting
took
you
so
so
long.
long?
He's
What's
not,
up,
Sorry
he's
we
not
took
AI.
so long.
He's
I
not
misread
AI.
that. I misread that. I
I
thought
feel like
didn't
I'm on the
realize.
Price is Right here or something.
You
No,
are.
no.
The price
You're on the Canadian real estate show.
wrong. That's right.
Nice.
Well,
Welcome.
you.
Thanks for
Thanks.
coming, though.
coming
Thanks
on
for
the
having
show.
me. There's been a lot of people. They've asked, well, maybe like 3 people until this week. Then a lot more people asked.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. We can get down to business here. So
First of all,
tell
John,
us,
first of all,
you
what's
guys,
the
it's your
business?
show. Actually, sorry, it's
No,
your
you
show.
lead the way, man. We're
let
humble
me start
servants.
first. Let
Yeah.
me start first. So, John,
Yeah.
congrats. We're happy that you're doing so well, and that
What a
it's well
channel.
deserved.
Holy.
Wait, who says
so
I'm
you
doing
know.
well?
Well,
In
we don't
your-
know
in
about
your-
it financially, but your
in your
channels.
YouTube channel.
All right.
Like,
Get a
that's,
lot
we're
of
here to talk
views.
about YouTube.
No, awesome. Thanks.
You're doing well, and it's for good reason. You know, you take it seriously, you put the effort in, and you definitely make quality stuff. You know, and
Awesome.
so
Yeah.
that never feel like we're not appreciative of that, because we know what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, putting together stuff every week and to be consistent no matter what. Rain or
Yeah,
shine.
it is. It's some weeks you're like mentally you're just like drained or whatever. You're having a bad week. And just like,
Yeah.
I gotta do it. You know, I commit. I'm
Yeah.
gonna commit to
doing
this. So
The fans, the viewers will tell you, right? If you're not, they hold
Oh,
you
yeah.
accountable.
and the viewers are great, and you always have the trolls. Like I seen Darryl getting trolled pretty hard on X
What do
this
your
week. but-
trolls look like, though? Are
Oh,
they
they're just-
positive people?
No, the trolls are the worst. Like so the trolls are
trolls
Good
are-
question.
they're saying stuff like they're like calling you out like I'm a big fake. Like I don't sell any homes, and you know I sell 2 homes a year or whatever. Like they're just like, and they want me to respond with like, oh, I sell 100 homes or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's, and I never talk about, like, the one stat I don't talk about is how many homes you sell. I've never talked about it. Actually, I just
don't
sold
have to.
3. I just sold 3 homes when I was waiting for 15 minutes for you guys on here. So
Right? No big deal.
when you talk to a realtor though, like when you're talking to another realtor, they're always like, "Wow, I was doing these deals last week," and it's always like the deals. Like, I've never talked to a realtor and they're like, "I'm dead, man. I haven't done like a deal in like 3 months." Like,
Have you ever talked to the number
Mutual
2
leases left,
realtor
right, and
in the
center.
region? Ever talked to the number 2 guy? Everybody
No.
seems to be number 1, right? Are you the number 1 realtor in the Niagara region?
I would never want to be number 1. I don't strive to be number 1. I will honestly say I think I could put myself in average territory.
Yeah.
And top 20% for sure, right? Because that's easy to make as long as you do like 5 deals or more a year. You're like top 20% as a realtor, right? So,
Yeah.
average realtor. That's all I am. My thing is I don't even do my own thing necessarily. I just wanted to get away from franchises and having a boss. So this is why I do my own real estate. But it's not to compete with Remax or I always use Remax as an example.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to, I want to do my own thing, and I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to talk to realtors. I'm not actually a social person. I like conversations, but I'm not like the guy that goes out to all the events and mingles. I hate that. I hate that whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
So,
No worries,
so yeah,
no
back to the trolls here. I feel bad. TK gave me such a nice opening there. But I gotta like throw him under the bus here. When
Throw him under the
Okay.
bus.
I gotta
I
tell the
took a
story.
screenshot of that one.
I got to tell the
Yeah.
story. It wasn't really TK. I'm good fun, right? I'm Irish, and our pastime is like busting balls and making fun of people, right? And it's all in good fun. So yeah, so the story is like Darryl's always give me an open invite, whatever that is. I don't know, what is that? An open invite? Like you call me, don't or whatever. I don't call you.
That's right.
So open invite, and I've watched your show like maybe like over a year and a half ago. I watched it, and honestly, it was long. Like once you get like more than 20 minutes, I'm like, I can't. I got like attention deficit or something, right? Undiagnosed, like half the population, right? And I'm like, geez, like I'm looking for like 10 minutes, right? So anyway, one day I'm on X like a couple weeks ago, and Daryl, you know, because you were in this conversation too, and I get this troll, and I put something out there in my usual propaganda, and this guy's like, oh, you should go on the real estate show, and I'm like, yeah, he invited me, I just haven't got around to it, whatever, right? And he's like, oh, you're chicken. You're chicken. He's putting chicken freaking emojis and stuff. And I'm like, and once in a while, I like to engage with the trolls, right? I like to have
Yeah.
my fun too. So I'm like going back and forth, and he's, you're chicken, and blah, 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 right after. So then I'm like, whatever, just another troll. So then, like, that night or the next night, I'm watching YouTube because that's all I watch, right? I got a little bit of Netflix in there, but I don't have cable. So I'm watching YouTube, and you guys have your clips on there, right? So I'm like, oh, the clips. I'm gonna watch this now, right? And it's been a while since, honestly, since I watched you guys, because I don't watch realtors in general. I try to like avoid them. So I'm watching freaking.
Daryl's not a realtor.
Yeah, realtors.
Yeah, sorry,
suck.
or real estate people. Yeah, you're a
Yeah.
realtor. Sorry, TK. So I'm watching, and like 7 minutes or whatever. I'm like, this one's perfect. So I haven't watched you guys in a year and a half. So I'm watching it, and then they got freaking armchair realtor over here. He's going, this guy's scared, or no, he won't come on the show. And this guy was saying, who's the Bible? I'm like, what is this, right? I'm like watching the show, and I'm like,
Algorithm knew it was like,
yeah, I'm
I
like,
heard
I'm
your
like, all of a
name.
sudden,
It's a
after
sign
year
from
and a half,
God.
I tune in, and these guys are freaking smack talking me. I'm like, oh boy, right? So,
Yeah.
and then I didn't want to come. I'm like, I'm not going on the show just now because that troll wanted me to go on. So I don't want to go on the show now, right? just because I don't want them. You can't give in. It's like negotiating with a terrorist, right? You
With a
don't negotiate
terrorist.
with terrorists. Right?
Faceless, anonymous terrorists.
You're
My
caught
number
between a rock
one-
and a hard place.
My number one line to those guys after we go back and forth is, "What's your real name?" Because they never have
Yeah.
their real names. So, and they're scared because they got a job and whatever. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm surprised that people troll you, actually. I thought it was only the Bulls that got trolled by the Bears.
no. So
Well, he gets trolled
They-
different ways.
yeah, they troll. They'll say, well, "You've been calling for a crash or friggin' whatever, and it hasn't
Right.
happened," and whatever, right? So,
That's
but yeah,
bullish,
they-
bearish banter, right? That's
yeah, it's all good.
you got to pick a side, right? You can't be, you can't think, right? You can't use logic. You have to choose a side. It's like politics.
Yeah.
Either you're a bull or you're bear. I got labeled a bull, and I keep thinking, like, if I go back and watch our episodes,
Think of my smoothie.
other than the fact that like I'm doing deals, like I think I'm pretty nervous about things more often than not. I think I look at
Mhm.
the negative side of things more often than not, don't I, TK?
I mean, I'm the same way too, but I guess we just have that little bit of instinct in us that just kind of pushes things onto the positive side. But you know, regardless, we're here. We have
I
fun.
wore my hoodie
What-
today, boys. Look, you guys look.
Nice,
Ready
nice.
to
the
go.
hoodie
We're all
rock in
ready to
here,
go.
so-
Well, here,
Reg-
let's give our
regardless
brains a
of-
little workout here, and let's talk about the Canadian real estate market. How about
There you
this? Did you see this article? Canadian home sales dip in December, expected to surge in the spring.
Is that from Royal LePage or Korea? Which one?
Right?
Or
It's
Treb.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like what? So it's Korea, of course, and probably
Mhm.
Treb too. But like, what is that even possible? Do we think that this December, this horrific December month of statistics, is actually going to be the catalyst for a resurgence?
No, it's seasonal, right? So, and of course they're going to surge in the spring. Like when hasn't it surged in the spring? Like, so that's, and you got to remember Korea, right? I gotta be careful, but yeah, I really don't have anything bad to say about Korea, but their purpose. You go to their main site, forget about the stats. You go to the thing. It says enabling real or empowering. It used to say, I think, empowering realtors and their business or something, right? They're not a consumer protection agency. They're there to promote realtors and realtor.ca and stuff. So yeah, like what else are they going to say, right? Not
They
going to
work for
hire me,
us.
right? So,
Yeah.
but they're not going to hire me, right? And, hey, real sales are expected to drop and prices are going to go down, right? So,
What are the conversations like with your buyers? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, let's go back
'Cause
to
they're
us
watching
busting your
your chan-
balls. 'Cause
They're
that's
watching your
really-
channel, and then you're like, you know, they need to buy. So
Yeah.
just talk me through it. You must have a way of being able to talk to your buyers in order
Yeah.
so that they can understand your content and what's actually going on in their specific situation.
So I've asked, I'll start with just saying, have I recommended to other realtors like that I know, like friends that I can bear? Actually, the realtors are like the greatest people or the worst people. Like it's just like anybody. But I've recommended you should go to, because they will be like, I agree with you, John, and it is like these homes are overpriced and it's ridiculous. Who can afford them? These young people. I'm like, you should like, make some videos or do something. They're like, no, I would never. My clients would. It's always about the clients. But so when I meet with buyers, first of all, I'm like, well, how'd you find me if I don't know you through like a referral or something? And they ask me, there's like, is it a good time to buy? And I say, well, like it all depends on your situation, but generally speaking, I see prices trending down, and they have been trending down, marginally. Now there hasn't been a
Just
big
true.
crash yet. So and they're respective of it. They're said like, I'm glad you're honest with me. And the people that do source me from my videos, they're like, I want to buy from you because you're honest. They don't care necessarily if prices are going up or down because they want a home for their family, and they can afford it or they can't afford it. So the reason it's like the opposite of what people think. Like, how do you explain this to your buyers? How like no, it's they're coming to me because they know I'm telling what I believe to be the truth and based on the trends on the market trends, right? So it's kind of like a win-win. So they want honesty. That's what people want is like honesty from the realtor. And that's the number one complaint or the number one conversation people have about a realtor is they're just salespeople and they're snakes and you can't trust them. Just like they say that about many industries, right? And it's because they're pumping the market. And it's funny because so it's almost like anti-selling, but that's not my strategy to anti-sell, right? So there is that strategy in sales sometimes. And I didn't even know about this. I was reading something on the news about Niagara Falls. And Niagara Falls, and you can look it up, they are looking into doing an anti-tourism campaign. And I don't know what it involved. Yeah, anti-tourism. Like, don't come to
This
Niagara
place
Falls.
sucks.
Yeah,
Don't
like
come.
you don't want to come here because, but it's probably going to be goofy, like because you're going to have so much fun down here, like or something, right? But they're like looking into this because it's always the same message, right? With
Doing a
realtors,
study.
like TK, and the number one question I get as a realtor, nothing to do with what I do on YouTube, and I'm guessing you too, from when you're not in front of a client, like when you're not there for a specific reason, like listing or buyers, when you're just like out at the bar, or out at some social event, people come to you and they know you're a realtor. What do they say? They say, hey, how's the market, John? Or how's the market, TK? And every realtor has the same response. Yeah, it's good. It's been busy. It's like you got nothing. You're just like, it's been busy. I've been busy. I don't know the market. It's always the same response where it's like, no. So, and that's what I recommend a realtor.
Oh
Like,
my
come up
God.
with a
Imagine.
response.
So our
Imagine running
response to
into
that.
John at a restaurant and asking him, "Hey, how's the market?" And he
So the-
starts just spinning off all these shitty stats at you.
The right
freaking out.
response is this. The right response is this. What are you thinking about doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to know what people are doing. Like you can't like what the market. Nobody knows what the market's going to do tomorrow. So it's like that person
Tomorrow?
could say, I just got a job in Calgary. They're going to pay me 3 times what I'm paying right now, but I got to move there next month and I got to sell my house like right away ASAP. And you're like, the
But I can't
market's
carry
lousy,
both
horrible,
houses.
horrible time to sell. And they miss out on an opportunity to move to like this great life in Calgary, right? So it's like you got to understand the context of like
Yeah.
what their situation is before you even give them that advice because they trust you. I mean, the reason they're saying how's the market is because they believe you're a professional. They believe
Yeah.
you know what you're talking about.
Yep. And
If you're not-
and most people though can't really quantify it or like but it is the same response that they give. They'll, well, it's good, or like it's just like this generalized thing. And it's funny you talk about, if they might miss out on something. So people say like, oh, like the trolls will say, well, John, you say this, and how do you like all those people that missed out on buying or whatever, and they would have lost them. Like, so it only works for me, right? So if prices go up, then I get the repercussions of that. What about if all the realtors that tell everyone buy because prices are going to go up, they're going to double in 5 years and they haven't doubled?
Yeah.
So like I think there's going to be a lot more of those realtors than people like me.
What about the sellers who sold because of your advice and now have more money in their pocket?
Yeah, and that's
Right?
the thing. Like, so, and it's like it's not just my opinion. Like, this is my opinion, right? This is like it's an opinion based on facts, on data, on trends that I can quantify and I can justify in my head. I'm pretty confident justifying it. You can't control the government and $1.5 million insured mortgages and 30-year amortizations and bail-ins and bailouts and all the rest of the stuff. But they're doing this for a reason, and the interest rates are dropping. And that was the big thing with the interest rates. Well, like when the interest rates go down and the prices they're going to go to the moon. Well, the interest rates went down. They've been going down since October 2023, the fixed rates.
Yeah.
And where's the prices that we had the lowest average monthly price last year in the last 3 years. So it's obviously that narrative's failed, right? So
If you don't have a job, you're not really worried about what the bank's going to lend you money at. You know, you
exactly.
don't qualify for a mortgage,
Yeah.
right? And I'm
So
dealing with more power of sales and people losing their houses now than I ever have.
mhm.
And it's like, and some of them are very upfront because they've already got like writ of possessions and notice of sales and things like that. So like they're really far along the process. Other people maybe aren't being as honest with me, but they're coming to me and they're talking. I hear the word line of credit. I hear the word credit card. I hear the word second mortgage. I hear all these different terms when they're talking to me, and I'm just like, yeah, like you're under pressure. You know,
Mhm.
like you got a lot of debt. And based on the background that you got today, which I assume is AI, that you have
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah, Grok AI, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which part?
To have
Yeah.
this sort of like,
Yeah, we got the
Oh yeah,
CN Tower
I
there.
love it.
looks a
Right?
little gloomy. A little
It's so
gloomy,
gloomy.
like a
I was
little
like, I don't want
gothamy.
to, I don't want the one that's like on fire, you know. It's like
Yeah,
it's kind of like, you know, so
it's a
Don't you don't want
winter.
to
It
lean
was on
into it,
fire
eh?
a few months ago.
winter
Now
apocalypse there, yeah. So
it's
It's okay.
sensitive
Our
to
thumbnail will
California.
have a big fiery explosion and some down arrows and
We
a
should use his
whole bunch.
background as our thumbnail.
and
That's a good background.
I hope, I long for the days, and they will come, where, and you guys said it, right when you were you know, calling me out on that one video, where I wish I could be begging people to buy, and I will be begging people to buy at one point, and they're gonna be like, "Nah, I ain't buying
No,
yours." You know,
bad.
it's like, and
Yeah.
because I just like people to think that we're never gonna go through this like a cycle ever again. Like that's it. That was the last cycle back in like the 80s, 90s, or '08, if you want to include that one. Like it's ridiculous. Like we're gonna go through a cycle, and if you think the cycle is just like 1 month that went up like astronomically high, and then we've been sitting like flatlined for a few years, like there's no way. And because again, we haven't hit the rest of those high unemployment and formal recession yet. They've still been printing money, and that's why we don't have a government right now, is because of the deficit. It was like all of a sudden it's the economic updates are supposed to come out,
Right. And
and
all hell
she
breaks
quits,
loose.
bails.
and
No,
the
but
whole government falls apart because they know they're like
it was
screwed, right?
late. No,
Yeah.
weren't they already so late for bringing that out? And then they
Yeah.
finally were going to do it. And then Freeland quits and all hell breaks
And
They
loose.
ran
where's our
those
housing
numbers.
catalog? I want the housing catalog. I want to
Yeah,
look
what
at these
happened?
designs. I want to see what was going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Those were-
What
those
do
were
you
some-
think, based on the numbers, how our market and current environment compares to the '90s recession?
Didn't you just
Honestly,
do a
it's
video
so
on that?
similar. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so
So give
similar.
it.
It's like
Our fans haven't heard it, so go.
yeah,
Fast.
it's so similar. It's scary. Like that, there was that video from 1995 where the CBC, back when they were like a real news agency,
Were
it's
they
like
even
literally,
real back then?
it's
do
like
we know
literally
this?
CBCNN right now. Like they changed their freaking name to CNN. Like it's crazy.
I
So
don't believe that the CBC was even like real back then. But anyways, go
they were
on.
reputable. They were
Were they?
trustworthy in most people's. Maybe because we didn't have social
We
media.
didn't have
That's
social media.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Social
didn't
media
really
changed
know.
everything.
Yeah.
And social media, we've gone off on a tangent here, but social media made this run up worse. I believe it makes everything more amplified.
Amplifies
Social
it,
media
yeah.
Down
and
to
so this down to
COVID,
like, oh yeah.
everything.
So just think,
amplifies it.
all the people that watch social media and all those realtors that were driving Lambos and making all this money, and all these real estate investors, like back before social media, you would see, and it's not even about the internet, it's social media, right? Was like the next part in that cycle. They like what, 10 times more people would have seen that at least than pre-social media. So on the way down, when people are, you know, giving their houses back to the bank and jingle mail and whatever else, 10 times more people are going to see that too. So yeah, social media amplifies everything. And of course, everybody knows about every world war and everything like that. But what we were talking, what was the original
The
CBC.
'90s
question?
question.
CBC, you're-
So you
yeah.
said the numbers. Yeah, that's a video.
Yeah, so in the 90s, yeah, I put us like, I kind of compared, like we're at like 92 right now or something. So 89, it peaked at the market, and then 1995, it was near the bottom, 1995, 1996. And we're seeing that slow downturn the same, and you had this big increase in public sector jobs. The interest rates went from like 13% in 1989 down to like 5 point something percent at the end of 1995. People say, oh, I was paying 7 point something percent. Yeah, they were paying that on their mortgage, but the Bank of Canada rate was like 5 point something. And so we're seeing all the same trends, and you're going to see. So the problem with the public sector, the increase in public sector jobs, again, that's just to boost the unemployment, or to lower the actual unemployment numbers, right? To boost employment. And they did the same thing, but then by 1995, which would be say 2+ years from now, the public sectors workers were worried about not having a job, going on strike because you can't keep funding this kind of government, right? And so we're seeing like it's like the same cycle, and it's all to do with interest rates, creating exuberance, low interest rate environments, and then going, peaking and dropping them back down. So it's like the trend, and this is what I look at. It's not like Bitcoin's a great one. So I'd like to there's no Bitcoiner out there that will say, well, the data, like that's just like momentum trading or whatever, right? There's no real thing. Well, it's going to be great because everyone's going to use it as currency one day.
When?
This is not the same. My forecasts are based on historical data, where Bitcoin really doesn't have any historical data. I bought it for 10 cents and it's worth 100 grand. Like that's like that. So if you want to compare that, like Bitcoin to something, what would you compare it to? You can't. There's like crypto's like a new thing. So I would compare
Tulips.
it to like tulips.
Toronto housing
Tulip
market.
mania. They were like
Oh.
supposed to be 10 cents and they were $1,000.
Yeah.
And crypto, the crypto guys, they get pissed. They'll be freaking commenting on this video. But I'm not for, again, I think crypto's a great thing and Bitcoin and everything. But like, do you really think the government's going to be like, oh, you guys want your own decentralized currency? Sure. Like, let's like have it, right?
That's
It's not gonna happen.
decentralized, right? When the government gives it to you.
No, decentralized
what
is
the
like
fuck?
the government doesn't have anything to do with it, and you get to control your own currency. Like the government's never going to allow this.
Yeah, and
But
the
now-
Department
yeah.
of Justice now just got approval to be able to sell all of their Silk Road Bitcoin, right? So it's
Okay,
like
yeah.
67,000 coins,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I mean, they own a lot right now, but that might change overnight because all of a sudden now they've got the approval from Congress, right?
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
How do
So-
we get onto Bitcoin? Okay, 90s versus now.
Well,
Yeah,
90
you can't compare so we in real estate we have
No.
historical trends to compare to, where as like things like Bitcoin you don't, right? Well,
Yeah.
if you want to compare it to tulip mania or something, right? And that's where I look at like my forecast and my attitude is solely based on cycles, and that's where I get my numbers and I get where my outlook from. So I think that if everybody truly believes that we can go through a recession and have higher unemployment, which we're trending that way, having increased mortgage arrears and all the rest of this, and house prices will never drop. I think they're like kidding themselves. Like it's going to happen. It's just how much, right? How much will they go down? And then you look, well, look at all the immigrants. Okay, that was 2 years or whatever of this excessive immigration. 2020 and had like next to none in comparison to like historical trends. And then again, you can look back, and I've gone back to like 1955, and we have like a surplus of like 2 million homes, and not even counting. So we're going to have a lot more homeless people now. They don't need homes, right? But there's not that many. It's like 35,000.
that's what we're
homeless
doing.
people.
We're short on homes, so we're just putting
Yeah.
people in tents and putting them outside.
Yeah,
so
leave
that
the
way they don't
homes
need 'em.
empty. Yeah.
But if you look at the increase in population, like this is based on 2.5 people per household. Okay, how many people now live, like that was updated in 2021, I think. How many people, you think it's still 2.5? You think it went down? You think it's only like 2.3 people per household now in Canada? Like it went up, right? And look at,
Anecdotally,
I don't know. What
anecdotally, it
about
went up.
condos? It's all like
But I
one
think
or
it's
two
hard to
people.
track. Well, yeah, think about it. I mean, it's anecdotally, it definitely has gone up where people are looking to, live with more people in the last 10 years. But I go back to the 50s where, my dad and 8 of his brothers and renting out the living room and all that kind of stuff are all in one house too. And I think that there's also a lot of boomers now taking up houses that are underutilized
yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings down the average a lot too. And they own a ton of real estate. And the bottom line is they control the market. They right now, I mean, they own a significant amount of real estate. A significant amount of it is mortgage free all over Canada. And so interest rates don't affect them as much as far as like having to sell. And so it's really just a matter of how old are they? Right?
those are my favorite deals. The boomers or the estate sales or the retirement homes, because
Yeah.
it's like they're always in the best neighborhoods.
Yep.
No millennials want them because they don't look like IKEA inside, but everything is new usually, like the roof, they maintain them, and you
Yeah.
get them for like under market value. So I always tell people like get the estate sale or the power of attorney or whatever, right? It's those
Yeah.
are the best ones. But then you have so those numbers of 3 million people, I just looked them up yesterday. 3 million people from 2022 to 2024, so 3 years, a million people a
Holy.
year, but half of them are students. So
Yeah.
okay, so you think the students are at, obviously they're not at 2.5, they're like 8 to 10 people per household.
17 in
Mhm.
Brampton.
Yeah, and then you have all these newly created basement apartments that they don't track. Like that's
Off the
not
books,
considered a
yeah.
housing completion, right? So you have, and I've estimated those at like in the last 10 years, probably a million. Like it's 800,000 for sure. Like so you
800
have
to a million illegal
Illegal.
extra suites
suites that are unaccounted for
unaccounted
on
for.
the
Wow.
numbers, right? Because and they're understandably right. They're not accounted. Even if they were registered with the city, they don't get counted as a completion. You'd have to build it or something like that. It doesn't
Right.
get counted as a completion, even if it's legit and legally registered with the city. So you have like a million extra units. So there's all these things that people actually don't look at, and like so you have 1.5 million students or something ridiculous that came, and how many have left already. So there's a lot of looking into the numbers, and our government, like they don't update the numbers quick enough.
Are they
Like
real, the numbers? Like, do you actually trust these numbers in a way that you're like betting everything on them?
no, because as the governments change hands from conservative to liberal or whatever, right? You get these things that they change the way they report it. So if you look back at median or average household income for the last 20 years, you can't find it because it's one's section of data is median before tax, one's after tax. There's no set data.
Consistency.
It's like it's ridiculous. Like so, like when I try to compare that stuff, it's so annoying. And it's like government should be tracking it. Like in the States, they have the Fred, right? And that data is amazing. They actually have Canadian data on there that's better than we keep. Yeah,
For
and
sure.
I think the government like they do it on purpose, or they're just negligent, or their
They do it on
heads in their
purpose to
yeah.
like help with the narrative. I really
It's
think that most of those
incompetence. They're
stats,
not. We give too much credit to
no
the
way.
government. Like they've got some sort of agenda over the 30. They're all cooperating with each other over 30, 40 years. Not a chance. They're
They're
just
just
incompetent.
incompetent. Yeah, that's it. They
You
they
know.
they,
Think?
they just they don't know what to do. They're just and they're no matter what, we're all arguing amongst ourselves. Oh, you're liberal and you're conservative. You guys are obviously liberal. You live in Toronto, right? So, uh,
In our red jackets.
TK is a liberal.
I don't know. I just figured Toronto is like the stronghold, right, for the liberals, which is obviously going to change the next election, I'm guessing.
Oh
But
my
Big time.
God.
yeah, everything blames it on Toronto for our government. It was all these 416ers.
Well, that's the
true.
issue. There's too
It's
many
true.
voters in one area,
Yeah.
and that there's too much weight, and too many seats in one area where it doesn't make sense, because really the Western provinces get treated like garbage.
Mhm.
Maritimes, no one even talks about,
No,
Who
right?
cares?
No,
Yeah.
no one,
unless
no
there's
one
a
even
lobster problem.
That's
right?
right.
Like no one's even
When's
concerned
that?
whatsoever. It's the best place to develop. I mean, there's a ton of opportunity out there for us to be able to have more infrastructure and everything else, right? You've
Yep.
got amazing cities that are grossly underpopulated, and everyone wants to live in Toronto,
Mhm.
and that's
I
the
don't know
problem.
why. I'm trying to figure out why. So
I
I
agreed.
I
I
bought a
don't know
boat
why.
there.
Agreed.
So I bought a boat and I got to drive there all the time, right? Because I just got it in December and it's sitting there. I got to wait until I could take it back across to Niagara in the spring. But so I'm driving up there like every couple of weeks or so, and my son comes with me. He's 14, and we get there, and he's like, and we get off the freaking Garner on Jarvis or wherever, and it's just like that. It's never changed. I think they raked the dirt underneath the Garner. I think that's all they did, and but it's like so like all the concrete's falling off. I'm like,
Falling
why have they
off.
never
Yeah.
fixed this? Like, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, they're always working on. We've got a plan to fix it, and so then we're like
Trying to
driving,
get
and
rid of
my
it.
my son's just like, Dad, this is like a video game. It's like these are like NPCs walking around because everyone's just walking around with like their headphones on, and it's just like so weird, like big cities when people like me go to the big city, right? And I'm from
The
a big
shock.
city. I'm from Dublin, like in Ireland, right? Like I grew up there, and so it's very lots of public transport and all the lots of people, high
Yep.
density,
Great city.
and I'm just like this Toronto, like I know that you get to it and there's great parts of Toronto, but I'm just like that like entrance to it is just like apocalyptic. Like it's terrible. Like
What's
and
the entrance to Toronto from the West End there on the Gardner?
well, yeah, when I
Oh
come in
my
the
God.
Garner,
Yeah.
like it's
Must look
just terrible.
up.
And leaving too, right? It's just like terrible. And it's like, but even like on the Garner when you're coming in and they have those like those advertising, flowers or stones or whatever they have, like the whole thing is just like industrial. And
Corporate, like
yeah, and
killing
then
us. This is
I
who's
go
killing you.
past I go past like the outer harbor, right? And it's like this industrial area that's just totally just like mess. Like it's just like a mess. And there's like people like taking their cars down and they're parking, they're going for walks and jogs, like and I'm just like, this is what people want. I can't believe this is what people want. Like this, and
Yeah.
they brag about it. Like I live in Toronto and downtown and
They're afraid. They're afraid. They're afraid to go anywhere else and take a chance.
Sure.
They don't realize that most of the jobs in Toronto are available in other cities in Canada.
Yeah.
there was I was
Right.
leaving with my son,
For the
and
States.
we're like, I'm not even trying to get on the freaking Garner from Lakeshore East, coming from, the harbor side there. So I'm like just taking Lakeshore down because it's like all that construction. There's some guy standing like halfway on the road, like just some like homeless bum, but he didn't look like skinny. But he's like crazy, and he's like standing on the road,
Well fed.
staring directly at like me coming,
Yeah.
and I'm just like
What do I
buddy,
do?
Just give him your money and just
no, I'm just like
I'm not
I
gonna-
didn't even move. My
Yeah.
mirror was like 1 inch from him. He was just like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Like, I'm from Niagara, buddy. Like, like
Yeah, don't mess. Don't mess. We don't
When we-
tip either, right?
I don't know. So,
I
well,
fucking
Irish-
hand
hate
your
Irish
wallet
people-
through the crack and just don't make eye contact and just
No,
drive
you-
away as fast as you can.
You turn
No,
on
we're
the
not from
windshield
there.
wipers.
We're not from these big cities. We don't know. We're like, that guy wants to fight. Like, I remember years ago I was
tax.
there, and some limo, or like I was like trying to back up, and I'm not slow at driving. This limo, they're like, get the hell out of my way, like instantly. And like in Niagara, like they want to fight you, but in Toronto, it's like normal. Like you're like, oh, that's just how people are, right? But like
Yeah.
you do that in Niagara, you're like, people are jumping out of cars. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is everybody's all stressed out because they got to afford their mortgage and to go for dinner for $300 and to get, everybody has to have a Mercedes here and Lambos. It's the
Oh,
big
yeah.
city. Everybody's
Let's see what John has to think about Trump. So Trump, I mean, obviously he's won the election. He's
51st
going to be
state.
the new president. What do you think about the tariffs, the 51st state, any other things that
Trump's
trade,
my idol. I
relationship?
worship Trump. Like he's the greatest ever. Like so, you say you like, oh, Trump's not a bad. Oh, you love Trump. You freaking. I've always been a Trump supporter just
I
because
love Trump.
I can cut past all that crap. I don't care if he's says whatever. Like he's not a bad guy. Like yeah, he could be a jerk, and he's now that he's got the power, he's smacking, he's laying down the law. So the tariff, yeah, I'll tell you exactly what I think. I think I might have a good opinion on it. So Trump. First of all, the tariffs, yeah, it's like and 51st state. That's just like Trump negotiating. Like, I want your country. Okay, I'll just settle for your resources at a cheap price, right? Like that's what he wants. But we need to pull our weight. Like, we'll unlock our resources and we'll buy a bunch of your freaking helicopters and army planes because we don't have any of our own. Like let's do deals. This is what needs to happen. And of course, a bunch of other things too. But he is gonna, yeah, he'll be the straw that breaks the camel back because he hates Trudeau. He hates all these liberal mentalities and cutting off the oil and this globalist mentality. So he is going to slap Canada so bad until those liberals are gone, until Trudeau's gone and Carney or whoever else. And this is what I think he's doing. And so there will be pain. And I said it, starting next week, be prepared. He could, yeah, everything could just crash next week. Who knows?
Do you think if he didn't win the election, Trudeau would have stepped down? Like, if you think
No.
that drama didn't unfold, you think that had
Yeah, I
something
don't
to do with
know.
it?
I don't know. It might have, but I think, yeah, I don't think really Trump's too worried, and he didn't really put any pressure. Like Trudeau flew down there like right away, right? And so
Embarrassed him though. I mean,
He got escorted out
right?
by like the Secret Service. Did you see that video?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't let him
you
stay
stayed
at,
at like the Holiday Inn or something.
yeah.
Across the
But
street.
yeah, when I was actually going to go next time I was in Toronto, but I gotta like take the time to do it. But so when Trump won, I like made this video. It's got like 100,000 views on like a different channel where I put like his flag on my truck, and I drove around Niagara Falls and recorded it and like just see people's reactions, right? And yeah, like most people are like, yeah, like way to go, and people are like, well, you're half the people there are American, which is not true. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go do this in Toronto and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
He'd get support. And
I just haven't
everybody
had time
talked
to do it.
Everybody
Ah.
I talk to is thinking like, if we became the 51st state, it would actually help us. It's never going to happen. But
No.
like, nobody's said to me one-on-one, oh my gosh, I'm a nationalist, and how dare we give up the land that our grandfathers fought for. They say that online. They write books about it and songs and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
But they're,
A lot of
will-
patriots online. Like a lot
Yeah.
of people are in support of fighting back online, but not everybody I talk to, because I don't really talk to too many people about this. But TK seems to think everybody in his
100% of the people
sphere
that I
of-
talk to
yeah,
all agreed that,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, it sounds better than what we got going on
Oh,
right
when you
now.
talk about when you
Well run.
when regardless of what people think, when you bring up like the dollar, oh yeah, well the dollars, we'll take those. But it's interesting because we have been merging our minds for a long time. Like, we didn't never used to have Nexus. Our automotive standards, like you take a car like a Honda Civic from the States and bring it to Canada, you have to like replace the bumper because it's got different reflectors on it or something, right? That has all been standardized. So we have been standardizing a lot of things over the years, and so there's going to be this natural merger that's going to happen. We'll still have our independence, right? But it's going to happen over time. Who knows, 20 years, 100 years.
We've been refusing the metric system since it was brought on, like,
Yeah.
how much do you weigh? How tall are you?
They're refusing our system. I think they're the only ones left on that. Which one is
Imperial,
it? Metric?
yeah.
Imperial?
But
Fucking
think about it.
morons.
Like when you
England.
talk to people, right? The whole world is
England
on
too.
metric.
Yeah.
Whole metric.
UK didn't. They're still in miles per
Yeah,
hour.
they're probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're idiots
UK
too.
is?
Yeah,
I
the
don't
UK
know.
is. Ireland's not. Ireland switched over, but UK
I've
is.
been-
Like
yeah,
I
I've
watch
been to
those
Ireland.
automotive guys, and they're always, miles per hour. They're still.
But
in
maybe
miles
they're
per
talking
hour.
to Americans because that's their fan base.
Old cars.
Yeah, no, I think they're still driving.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I'm pretty sure they're still on the Imperial. And they have, so like in the UK too, like, so they'll get like 40 miles per gallon, but it's like different miles, but different gallons over there, right? Their gallon is not the same as the US gallon, just like
Oh.
their ton is not the same. Like, so yeah, when you hear like the cars over there, you're getting so much miles per gallon, it's not the same
Bigger
gallons.
gallons?
No, it's smaller gallons.
Smaller gallons.
So yeah, no, sorry, it is bigger. So I think it is bigger because they're getting more. They'll get like
More.
40 miles per gallon, and in the States they're getting like 35 on the same car. So
Hold on.
Sounds
So
impressive.
just to be clear, you are in support of Canada being amalgamated into not necessarily the States, but some kind of a merger or union with the United States.
Well, yeah. So like the whole 51st state thing, no. Like I like the Canadian sovereignty, but having more accessible trade, border, like having that uni passport they've talked about. So I think Kevin O'Leary was talking about that. Like, yes, it needs to happen where we're making things more efficient between us because we are like the major part of North America here, like, continental wise. So yeah, we're like the best trading partners, and we still have like, stop at the border. I'm in Niagara Falls, like I go across the border regularly, and yeah, we need it easier.
It helped with our population issues, right? Because we're trying this whole immigration surge, and it's just, it's too fast, it's too direct. Imagine if we just let some of the Americans move north.
We definitely want their guns. We definitely want the guns, right? The bear
Whatever
arms,
gun
like, for
policy
sure,
they got, I mean, it's really not a big deal. Like, really, like, is are guns really a big deal? Like, I mean, it's like, I think that you can get a gun right now. If I wanted to buy a gun, I could buy a gun. I could get a legal gun, or I could probably find an illegal one if I tried.
It'd be
hard
easier to
enough.
find an illegal one, that's for sure. These
Probably,
days.
right?
You can't get a
I
handgun
don't-
anymore.
I don't
so.
think the guns should be the main thing. Obviously, we'd have different laws if we did allow them. But I just think that solving the population issue, because then people, if we have two open borders, and everyone will just apply to Canada, and then they'll just go south, right? Because we let everybody in, right? But just to be able to have some sort of open border, there's so many Canadians who would leave. The American is just such a better quality of life in so many cities when you start looking at income versus house prices and everything else and cost of living. So that would open up. And these are underpopulated places in warm climates. Because what's the excuse, Darryl? Why doesn't everyone just move to Saskatchewan?
Yeah,
The weather.
Exactly. That's it.
That's
That's
it.
what I said about Canada. Like the dream's gone. Like the thing was, move to Canada, you get a good job, and you get a decent house. You get a detached or whatever if you're in my area.
Yeah,
now it's like
neither.
move to Canada. You make decent money in Canadian dollars, but you're not going to be able to afford a house. So so now you have to live in the cold in an apartment, and it's like, what's the allure of that? It's like I might as well just go to Florida and rent a place.
That's what I keep saying. It's like on top of, like, forget about the government sucking and them taxing the shit out of us and tent cities all over the place. All that stuff. It's fucking freezing here for like 4 months. It's freezing.
And it's
then
expensive as hell now.
and it's expensive as hell. But like you're saying, we got all these kind of stupid little things in Toronto that nobody wants, that we spend lots of money on, that don't enhance the city. We don't get any of the shit that we want. Our taxes are going up. You want to talk about that shit?
Yeah.
Holy fuck, another 6.9% after what was last year? 9.5%. And the year before, what was that? 7.3%. 3? It was
Something, yeah.
7 point something.
And you got
What?
bike lanes, no bike lanes. You don't know what's
Bike
going on over
lanes.
there.
We need bike lanes.
Sacrifice the
We don't need
cyclists.
bike lanes.
You know,
What
like
the fuck?
keep them on the sidewalks. Jeez.
Are you a real estate agent and you're looking to make a change anywhere in Ontario? Guess what? We're hiring. Frankly and Associates, #1 team in the GTA for all Remax teams, #1 team for all teams from all companies for number of units sold throughout Toronto. So if you're looking to make a change, best decision I ever made was to join Frankly and Associates. Go to jointeamleo.com and we can set up a call.
Well, but this is what you get when you have a mayor that was like a furniture store guy, and then a crackhead after that, and then maybe we had a decent mayor for a few years, but then he was like a pervert and adulterer.
Oh, yeah, it's a weirdo,
right? Some kind of God knows what he was up to. And
most
now,
politicians are sociopaths. Like most of them. Like if you actually look at them, like look at Trudeau. Like Trudeau's a weird guy. Like he's really weird. Like
you think a little weird.
Yeah,
yeah, he's a little
like,
fruity.
So what's he gonna do now with the whole feminist speech now that he fired Creel, or he was gonna fire Freeland? He talks about how the states, he's so let down and they chose not to elect the first female president in the states. And now he's got Mark Carney that he's gonna promote to take his spot. So where's the women, Trudeau? Like, aren't you gonna get a woman to take your spot?
He just said that because his butt was hurt because when he went down there, they were talking about him being the governor, right?
That's right.
And so then he wanted to, try to support Harris in a way that wasn't like anti-Trump, but it made him look horrible.
Right?
Oh
yeah,
horrible.
What about government cuts and stuff like that? When I hear Elon talk about what's going on in Argentina and be able to cut government like civic servants and stuff like that, like what do you think is going to happen now when the election comes? I mean, did you watch obviously you probably watched Polyev and Jordan Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think are going to be some of the things that he's going to be able to do versus things that are just talk?
Well, he's going to, first of all, there's going to be cuts because all these friggin' whatever they are, what are those? They spend money on these, I forget what they are, the not correspondence, whatever, with the government. They spend money on a bunch of nothing.
Consultants.
Yeah, consultants. Sorry, yeah. My brain fire. Yeah. So they spend money on a bunch of nothing. So just cutting that out, you have all these DEI policies and this, that, and the other. Like it's crazy. Like what they're spending money on ideology and they're getting nothing done. And it's things like the Housing Accelerator Fund and how much money did they spend on getting those plans made up, which have never come either, right? Like I guarantee it's going to go out. They spent like $2 billion on an architect or something, right?
Right.
So just by cutting out all this waste, and of course, the longer you're in government, the more corrupt you become, and you know your time's up. So you're going to give all your buddies all these contracts, and you have the green slush fund. So there's been so much waste. So just by cutting that out alone, and then you're just going to have to look at other things with, these healthcare promises that Trudeau made. So like Trudeau is doing like the child care and the dental programs for old people and young or under a certain income. And our healthcare has never been worse. Like you go to people complain all the time. You go to the hospital and you don't get seen, and 10,000 people died last year or something waiting for surgeries.
But meanwhile, that's everybody's reason online for why we shouldn't join the states. They're like, "Do you want to keep this healthcare, or are you a fucking moron?"
Yeah,
right? It's always the healthcare.
And here's the problem with the healthcare, and I'm not for this universal communist healthcare, and I think it's great that you have something for people, but I think we should have the option for a private treatment or
sort of
consult.
system
Yeah,
that gives people with the money to choose.
Yeah, because and you can just go to the States anyway and get it done.
Yeah.
We have health tourism. Like my assistant, she went away to friggin' somewhere in Europe for like dental work because here it was like $5 or $6 grand for like some things. She's like, I'm going on a vacation with my family, and she got it done over in Europe.
Yeah.
So
you see videos of guys in the airport at Turkey, and all of them have had like their hair done. They all have like bandages and hats on.
But they must be good at it too. It must not just be the
cheap
price.
and good.
Yeah.
So
it must be.
So yeah, with Pierre Polyev, he's going to. People don't like when you stop making social promises and we're going to take care of this person, that person. Like people get mad, like, oh, you can't get the drug addicts to get treatment. That's not fair. You just need to keep giving them drugs. Like, like
Put them in vending machines, maybe. Make it easy.
Yeah. Well, they have
Right.
them right in
Crazy.
but I think that he's going to clean it up, and it's not. And his slogan is right, like common sense. It is just common sense. Like, okay, let's stop giving drugs to drug addicts, expecting that's going to fix them, right? Like, here I got a drinking problem. Well, here maybe you should have another beer, right? Like so he's gonna clean that up, and he's gonna just stay out of things. Like why is the government planning to give us our house designs? Like, can't we design our own houses?
Yeah,
Like,
they're trying to
No.
save everybody. They're trying to
Quick.
save everybody,
Yeah.
and they're trying to do it in a way that is coming from a place of misunderstanding. All
They're
of their
saving-
solutions. Name one federal housing program that they've introduced in the last 5 years that has actually been something that people are raving about.
No, but and they're saving themselves from they're saving us from them because they're eliminating all of their red tape by giving us the designs, right? It's like, here, instead of going through all the shit that we put you through, starting from scratch, here's something that like might work on certain lots. It doesn't even make any fucking sense because if you have like a slope to your lot, like the plans don't work
No.
the same as on a flat lot, or the front slopes instead. It's like there's things that have to change, right? The elevation alone changes
And
everything.
they're all lying because it's political suicide, but nobody's going to come up. Like, how do you make homes more affordable? We're going to make homes affordable. All right, they got to go down. Like, they got to be cheap. Like, how do you make an affordable home?
You
Well,
changed the meaning of affordable.
The liberals, we're going to make affordable, and they're like, well, if you guys borrow more money, then the builders will build more, and then we'll have houses. Okay, well, what does that do for affordability? That does nothing, right? And even Pierre Poilievre, like, it's a tough political conversation to have, and ultimately, if you build all these homes and make the cities, cut the red tape by building homes, what's going to happen? You're going to have more inventory and prices are going to go down, right? Like, that's like, you don't build supply and demand, right? Everyone always preaches to me, supply and demand.
Yeah. In the 80s, they said the same thing. I talked to all my clients who are like big investors, and so many guys, a guy I met yesterday, so many people have told me who are like about 60 to 70 years old. They're like, I owned 20 houses in the 80s. I owned 15 houses in the 80s. Like, they all have these great stories, right? And it's the same thing. They had, we're running out of houses. They're not making enough houses. The supply, and that's just a storyline that was cooked up when the market was hot in the 80s. And then boom, the 90s came. And I always tell the one story where my client had a place in Parkdale. He couldn't give it away for free. It was cash flowing fiveplex. He couldn't give it away for free in the early 90s.
Sentiment,
When John says it's the right time to buy, right?
So if you look at the 80s, and that's a great example, like there was a construction boom in the 80s near the end, right? They were building lots of houses. If you look at the completions, it was like 140,000 or something each year. And you couldn't get enough of these things. They were like, nobody wanted to
supply crisis
to sell them to you. Everyone wanted to buy them. And then in 1995, when that video from the CBC was out, the starts and the completions were at like all-time lows, and they couldn't sell them. So so you're building way less homes than ever before, and you can't sell them. So this is, again, sentiment. That's what people don't understand. So as we're seeing that now, and you guys obviously see that, like, starts are declining and completions are going to start declining. We have all this inventory still that needs to come online. And I was just driving down MacLeod Road in Niagara Falls, and actually, Darryl, you can appreciate this, well, my perspective on it. But so I see like the sign is like condos coming soon. And it's like, nobody wants condos in Niagara Falls. Like in Toronto, where you are, I'm sure they do. But around here, they want detached. They don't want townhouses. They don't want, unless the townhouses are cheap enough. So, and it's like they got this sign like promoting like this is a great thing. But why are they building condos for people? Well, because they can't make money or anywhere else, right? These detached don't make sense. So, and they're building them for the speculators. They're not building them for the end users. They're building because this was the plan. You're going to sell these to a bunch of investors who don't care. Shoebox condos in Toronto. They couldn't care less. And this is where the market's gone. They're not actually selling them for families. They need to target families, and well, they will be at some point because they won't have a choice. And so it's just like that needs to change. Like the builders haven't been targeting families for a long time because they're a hassle. You're like, oh, I want to move this wall and paint this room, and it's just like, all right, you got an investor over there, and then that brings us to what's the difference. And I know that Darryl, we get a little debates online about this, and what's the difference? Like, what is the difference between a real investor and a speculator. Now we can go at the ends of the spectrum and say, okay, this is the difference, but where's that line?
I'll tell you where the line is. It's one place. Okay. The investor doesn't look at the line in the bottom left corner that says appreciation. Okay. And he's not sitting there going, oh, okay, I get it. So over 5 years, it's going to appreciate 3% per year and it's going to be worth this when I sell it. Right. An investor's like, okay, today this thing makes money and I'm happy with this return. Boom. There you go.
Rent appreciation. That's the only thing that an investor would consider, because it's going to be like a, prescribed 2.5%, something like that.
So it's fair to say, if anyone that has bought anyone that's bought a property, condo, whatever it is, townhouse, that's cash flow negative, that they've only looked at appreciation on the unit as a form of
speculator,
I guess, making money. They're a speculator because they have no long-term plan and it's cash flow. Like there's and they've justified. They're like, well, you're gaining equity, you're just not cash flowing. Like having negative cash flow is like suicide for a business. Like you have a certain time limit that you can do it for, but like ultimately they haven't. They're like, well, it's going to be negative $800 a month, and it's not going to change. Like it's not like it's going to change in like 5 years. Our
saying on the show is the market made them look like geniuses.
Yeah,
that's what it is. And so you got a bunch of people who are in that position who they told all their friends and they paid for their lifestyle, and the market over the last 20 years made a bunch of people a lot of money.
Yeah, you get on the wave.
And those fundamentals weren't there, and people used the same strategy. And when the market turned, all of a sudden, you weren't such a great investor after all. When I was doing flips and I had market changes and things like that come into play, and I wasn't making any money anymore, I quickly realized that that's not a great strategy.
And I like flips. Like flips, you're buying a house, you're improving it, you're actually putting time and effort into it. Like I got no problem with flips. Like that's a great strategy, and people make money, and you're actually providing a service. You're actually doing something. It's productive. It's like a new product that you're giving to the market, which is great, right? But yeah, speculation, like they're not even closing on these places. They're just like buying them up. Now when I started real estate, I started 20 years ago, 2004. There was like very few investors. There's always been investors, but like that wasn't the market. The market was families buying homes. And especially around here, you didn't even like lease a home. You sold homes to families. And I love, like, that was my vision when I got into real estate, like not to be like the top guy and, some big investor. And that was great. And then it changed in around 2013, 2014. And that's when that feeding frenzy really started on the investment thing.
Do you know what happened then?
Yeah. What was that?
So what happened then? Well, I think the big thing was that they allowed assignments then. Because before that, you couldn't do an assignment. There was a little period where you had to pay extra for an assignment. And then it became like you needed an assignment because that's what everybody was planning on doing.
But that's just on new construction. Even in like the resale markets, all of a sudden people were now buying houses around the time that John's talking about.
Yeah. Like 3 or 4% a year.
Not do anything?
Well,
everything. 3 or 4, the flippers, the renters, everything.
Yeah. 3 to 4% a year, like holding real estate for just that purpose, that's not attractive, right? Like you got to maintain this thing. You got like, it's like that was the norm, right? It was like, so who would invest in real estate? You'd be like, oh, no, I'm not gonna. Like I can break even with rent, which would be great nowadays. You're like, I'll take 3 of those. People are like, no, I don't, because it's not going up in value like astronomically. It's going up with inflation or a little bit higher, and I got to service this thing. It's just not worth it, so they wouldn't do it. And then, of course, we get into this. Who wouldn't have invested in real estate in the last decade? Like, you'd be stupid not to because of the returns. So I kind of I never bought into the whole investment. I just didn't like the attitude. They come down, like they say, come down from like Toronto GTA, and they're like, I'm looking for this and that, and I want, I was just like, get out of here. Like I like the families. They're like, oh, I'm so happy with my house, and this is great, and my family painted their walls, and this is what I like. Right? I like selling homes to families. So, and that's where I kind of never got away from it, thankfully, because I saw the agents, local ones, and all of a sudden they got like the website with whatever local or whatever builder, not local necessarily. Like, you brand yourself to be like their rep, like every other agent. You can just go and put yourself on the construction site or whatever. And I'm like, these guys just don't care. They're just like, they're making like, and I was just like, look at the greed. And people would come back like, and come back like 2 years later after they bought these places, and they'd come to me sometimes, and they're like, "What's my house worth, John? I bought it, 3 years ago." And I'm like, "Oh, it went up like 300 grand." And they're like, "Oh, that's it? Oh, that's yeah, no. Well, I'm gonna hold on to it." I'm like,
Yeah.
like,
I
what
want
are you
500
guys-
grand more. You only paid
That's
500
it?
for it.
No, like everyone wants a million. Well, once a
Yeah.
million, I'll sell it. And like most of the places never reached a million, right? For
Yeah.
the rentals around here.
So you
then
don't do pre-con stuff.
I've done 3 to 5 pre-cons in my career,
Yeah.
and
Houses,
all houses. Yeah, there's very few condos.
Those are less risky.
like
But
representing the
picture the
buyer?
Toronto
representing the
pre-con.
buyer. I've only represented one builder. It was like a custom builder, and that was it. And I was forced to represent the buyers. Like, do you want to go like get your own agent? They're like, no, I want you. I'm like, do you want me to like represent you or customer service? Back before the rules
What
changed.
does
They're like,
that mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
they're like, I want
get me
like
the
you to
house, John.
represent me. I was like, ah, shit. Like, I don't
It's
want
all
this.
good. I've been there. We've all been there.
But yeah, I haven't sold many, like, and there were families, like I think 2 of them were investors. But it was
picture all the pre-con condo agents though. That culture. What do you
That's
think
what I
about
was
that?
thinking about.
What do you
It's
think? What do you
like-
think about that situation? All these people who've got these grossly overpriced contracts, these agents who pump the market,
layers.
who lied through their teeth about whatever it was that they said about the rent, about the appreciation, about the layout. I don't know, whatever it was, probably all 3. And now those clients are hopefully still talking to them.
Yeah,
It's like
well,
it's like
what's
that
that
whole
situation?
culture. It's
a
like
lot of them call me now.
the
Now they're calling
platinum
you.
agent. But you
What are
got,
they
like,
saying?
this-
What are they saying? What are they saying on these calls? What are you hearing?
Daryl.
Well, listen, I want to just set up the culture
that
because it's
thought.
crazy, right? You've got this platinum agent guy who's connected to all these other platinum agent guys, who's connected to all these not platinum agent guys. And there's so much commission to go around, and like frenzy parties on launch, and like lineups down the street. Okay. Like, this is what TK is asking. Like, what do you think about that whole culture?
Oh, that was just again, it was momentum trading or whatever, right? It was just insanity. It was following the crowd. Everyone's making money. Like, I understand why they were doing it, but it was greed. It's human greed. Like, do you really? They knew, like, if I had to stop those people and said, okay, guys, you're buying this pre-con here for 800,000, which seems like a great deal in Niagara for this detached home, which is shit build quality and everything else. All right, now you're going to rent it for this much. You're not even going to break even. Like, what are you doing? They wouldn't be able to answer. They would, well, it's going to be $1 million, and by the time it's built, like it was just like they were blind. And I have these people call me, and me, I make fun of speculators and investors, or quasi investors, I should call them, all the time. And they call me up and like, John, I got this house closing in 3 weeks, and I want to assign it. And my agent told me to call you. Like, they're just like, call. And because they would watch me, maybe the agent would see me, and they're like, oh, I'm going to call that John guy.
The Toronto agent.
Yeah, the Toronto agent. So they would say, like, my agent told me to call you because I'm closing. I can't close on it. And I'm like, oh, well, what'd you pay for it? And they're like, $750. I'm like, oh, it's worth like $7 at the best. And there's like 1 million of them listed for sale. So you're losing. They're like, yeah, just get me 700. I'm like, wait, you think I can sell your house in 3 weeks before closing? You can't close on it, and you're gonna get 700,000. I'm like, it's not happening. Like, I'm like, I can't help you. I'm like, let me do some research and I'll get back to you.
Yeah,
that's the end of that. Or I have like a lot of regret. But it's what it is. It's what they expect. Like, they're gonna call me, and what they think, like, I can work a miracle. That's what they're hoping for. That John guy's got clients, and he's just
on
gonna
the
sell it.
interweb. That guy's gonna sell it for sure.
they're desperate. They're desperate.
The guy that's telling everyone, don't buy any homes. They're all overpriced.
Yeah.
He's gonna sell my pre-con.
See, that's the frame of reference I was coming from. Is like, as a client, I would watch your video and go, shit, man. Like, I don't know if I should call him, because, like, how is he going to convince
The
someone
sellers
to
should all be
buy
calling.
my house?
The sellers.
No, the buyers.
No, it's the sellers. TK's right. No,
The sellers should all be saying, John, I got to get out of this mess.
Yeah, the sellers are so the sellers watching my videos, the sellers should be the ones that what you think would be worried.
Right.
Oh, I'm not going to use this
I'm
guy.
not using this guy. He doesn't
So
believe
let me
in
go
the
back to the
market.
buyers real quick. So I literally, like, I have the conversations with people, and sometimes they're like, no. I'm like, okay, let's go look at houses. And because like I'm still going to treat them fair and honest. And so we're sitting in homes. Like, I've sat in homes with people and that watch my videos, and they know what I think, and they're like, well, now it's time for me, and I watch, and I appreciate your honesty, and whatever, it's my time, or we're different, or whatever, right? I'm not saying they're right or wrong, these people either, when they buy, and they're in the house like, okay, John, like this house is like 680 or something, right? And what do you think? Like, is it what's it going to be worth like in a year? I'm like, well, there's a good chance it's going to be worth 600 in a year, and it could go to 550. Like, and so just like be prepared for that. I'm not saying it will. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not telling them I'm right, but maybe I will be wrong. And so just be prepared. Like, you're going to have to pay the mortgage on this thing, and you're not going to be able to sell it. You're not going to be able to get out of it. So you're going to have to take a loss or deal with it, right? So as long as I'm honest with them, I can sleep at night and I don't care. And I can say there's very few, if I hopefully none of them, that would come back and be like, you told me to buy this house and I should have never bought it. Like, no, I'm like very cautious, and because you should be as an advisor, because people are coming to you with trust. You're the realtor, you know everything, right?
They know nothing.
They don't know nothing.
Like, and what are the realtors? Oh, just buy. Don't worry, it's going to go up 10. Real estate always goes up. Oh, okay, let's go on with our
It
life.
worked for a while, right?
Yeah.
Sign
for a long
here,
time,
just
that
sign
worked.
here, right?
And I'll say,
Sign
like,
this.
I would hope in 10 years it would be at least the same price. Like, we're going to go through some slower times, but as long as you're honest and they respect that, right? You're not talking them out of buying because they've already made up their mind. They're going to buy a house.
What happens? So one question is, do you think long-term real estate will be a good investment and that the prices will go up? And two is, when prices do start going up and we pass 2022 peaks, what type of content are you making then?
So, yeah, and it would all depend on fundamentals, right? I'm like the fundamental, I'm talking like household income fundamentals here. So,
But you are about historical data too, and
Yeah.
historical data shows you don't have to be bullish on real estate, but you got to be bearish on the dollar.
Yeah.
And that your prices.
So I
probably
would
will
say that,
continue to rise.
yeah. So when
Phenomenal.
when we reach that, who knows when the bottom? I've actually never called the bottom. Like they say, never try to time the bottom, and I don't. Like I say, like it could be around this time, but I don't really talk about that. I don't think from my memory, right? And it's not something I focus on. But I think that first of all, to reach 2022 peak prices would be 2032 or after. Like that's how long
What'd you
I
say?
believe it will
What?
take.
One
2032?
report that just came out said it was
Son of a bitch.
7 years
Yeah.
to hit peak prices. Based on the 1990 recession, it was 12 to 15 years, depending on how you're
So
calculating.
I would say
but
a
with
good
inflation,
decade.
it's over 20.
Yeah, I would say a good decade, and that's with our dollar getting crucified, right, the whole time. Well, it's
Yeah.
not going to be the whole time, but and again, this is like not me just talking shit. Like I've looked at historical things. You look at the states. I think it was like from the peak to back. I can't remember, but maybe a decade. Ireland. So Ireland, listen to Ireland. Ireland was like 2007, and they were part of the Celtic Tiger and all that run up. They reached their peak prices in '07. They didn't reach that level again until 2022. It was like July 2022. So
Like adjusted for inflation or
no nominal prices.
Wow, that's
So,
shit. That's
yeah.
really shit.
So like 15 years it took. So like and you're saying, well, this wasn't that big of a bubble, okay, this bubble was huge.
Huge.
Like we had like friggin' massive amounts of money printing, pandemic, fear, the biggest fear from every reason. So yeah, like I don't see, unless wages increase like double, like the average wage, and wages have probably gone up
It
20%, I'm guessing, in the last 3 years, but
How much? How much?
maybe 20. I'm just guessing. I wish we had the data. Maybe like I think you'll be surprised because wage increases have been significant, and this is what we're still going to see with inflation, right? First, the goods and the cash gets devalued, and then of course the wages comes after, which keeps driving inflation. And this is where you're seeing these budgets at the cities, like everything, right? This is why they know, they plan. Well, it's going to be sticky until this time because they know what happens. So yeah, it'll be a while. So yeah.
And what do you do when that happens? Because eventually it happens. We all can admit, like there's nobody who can justify that eventually prices don't come back up to 2022. Then the question is when. What kind of content are you making at that point?
Well, I hope before then I'm going to be making buy content. Like you guys, like this is like it, and I'm not just. I'm going to look at the fundamentals or the ratios and say, look, the rent to price ratio, and the income to the household income to price ratio, and like historically, you look at those and you're thinking now, like it makes sense, right? why wouldn't you
As an
buy a
investor,
house?
so you'd put your investor hat on and say, "Hey guys, now the fundamentals make sense."
No,
Now,
not even as an investor, just like talking with homeowners and families and stuff. Like,
but you're
'cause
talking about the rent to price ratios and things like that too. That would
yeah,
be
but that's with end users, right? Because right now there's so many people are renting and they're like, well, I need to
okay. So the
buy. I should
difference
get into
between rent versus
yeah. So when
price.
it's like 15 or below, or even 17 or below, I would even accept. Like
Yeah.
now you getting it, you're it's cheaper to buy than it is to rent, or it's the same price even. We'll settle for. Why would you rent a house for 2,500 a month when you can buy the same house for 2,500 a month? And I'm not talking about some, mortgage rate that's stretched out over 35 years, and like realistically to carry it and everything. And that's when it's going to make sense. And that's how it used to be though. People like in like the 2000s and even the early 2010s, they'd be like, well, I don't know, maybe it was a lifestyle choice. Well, I don't want to buy a house. I want to have freedom to go on vacation. Or maybe I do want to buy a house. I want to settle down. Like it wasn't like this, like you better buy a house or you're never going to be able to afford one. Like,
No.
and I think we're past that stage almost at this point where it's like
By force.
yeah, well, we're past like the thing where you guys need to buy because the price is going to go back. They're still pushing the narrative, but
I
I
hope
think people
so.
are realizing, like,
I
you
hope
know
so.
what?
Yeah.
I don't think this like it doesn't seem so urgent anymore. Like we do get to the spring, we'll get to the spring market this year, and you're going to see the same. There's going to be that bidding wars, but it's going to
We
be
got bidding. We got bidding wars again. I mean,
TK was talking about bidding wars before you jumped on.
yeah, bidding
Yeah.
wars on what though? Like on like underpriced homes, right?
well, one it was 60 days on the
Strategically
market, and all of a sudden we have
underpriced.
two. We have two. The other one was strategically underpriced. But bottom line is what unfortunately happens is that buyers have horrible memories,
Mm-hmm.
and that emotion takes over, and all of a sudden
Is that a beer?
they get caught up. They get caught up in the emotion of missing out, and the realtor fuels the fire, right? Which he ignores the data, right? And just say, yeah, the last one sold for 900, but I mean, this one, after you fix the kitchen and
Things are
add new
looking up.
windows and put on a new roof and change the furnace and change the back deck, you should be good.
I know. I still get like calls like they're like, "This house is $599, John. The last one that sold was like 800." Like, and I'm like, "Okay, give me a sec. Let me pull up the list." All right, waiting on this data offers and the last, yeah, like, okay. So they're just desperate to sell, and they've had it on the market before and it didn't sell. Now they're just trying whatever. I said it probably still won't sell because they probably still need so much, right?
A
So
lot of them,
it's always like it's so important now. Like it's the most important thing to get a realtor that knows how to look at the numbers. Like forget about list prices. You can't even go by list prices. You have to know, all right, this place is on the market or not on the market. This is the area, and this is how much you're going to probably pay. And if you could pay less, but doesn't matter how many offers. They say, forget about, I don't care if there's 20 offers. This is the price of the house. Put in your offer, forget out about all the noise, and just buy it or don't
I
buy it if
sold
you get it.
0 houses to buyers between November, December 2021 to April, May 2022.
Yeah.
0 houses I sold to buyers because it was stupid. It was like
Oh, yeah,
the most ridiculous price you could ever come up with. Even the price we were offering was ridiculous.
You're
But
lucky,
someone was
right?
willing to go 200 grand more than that.
I've been doing it long enough that like I was just dealing with mostly listings. Like, and if it was somebody that was buying and selling, then I would, obviously deal with them. But I didn't work like with any first time buyers hardly at all. Like for like 2 years, it was just listings. And yeah, like people thought it was, oh, you just put your sign along. Like it was a lot of work dealing with all those offers,
75
and
offers,
yeah,
and
like
23 showings a day.
and it was stressful. Like it was more stressful than just dealing with like, leaving on the market for 2 months and getting, 10 showings. Like this was like, you got to deal with your whole week's gone. Like
We don't like
done.
that. Yeah, the whole week exactly. We don't actually realtors they think we want to have that environment. We don't.
No.
It's a very stressful on the seller side and on the buyer
Well, it's
side.
nice to at least know that you're going to sell the listing in that
Might
environment.
not close though.
But if you
Right?
do your
May
job, you,
not
you
close.
should know. Yeah, you should know it's going to sell anyways, right? Because you got the right strategy. You explained it properly to the client. You've identified their needs. You're realistic about why they're selling. Like you should know you're going to get sold. You don't need to sell everything in a week.
No, but
People
listen,
bring me offers with conditions, and I'm like, they're like, oh, even like last year, they're still like, oh, it's got conditions, I'm like, good, I want conditions. Like, I know it's going to be wrapped up and it's going to close as opposed
That's
to,
what I said this week to the guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, I don't care if you got a conditional financing. I'd much rather you tell me you've got the financing within the next week and that we're going to be able to close this than you go in firm and I find out a week before closing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big problems. So listen, guys, we have gone the longest we've ever gone. John, we didn't bite. We had a good time, I think.
Oh
We'd
yeah,
love
I
to
knew
have
we
you
would.
back on again. This was a wonderful time. I think all of your fans should be happy. I think all
Hold
of
on.
our
What
fans
last
should be
part is
happy.
what do your
I gotta
viewers think
go,
about
TK.
us?
Oh, they hate
Well,
us.
Darryl read. No, it's like the fortune teller. Or sorry, not astrologist I had on there. I love like that kind of stuff, like different. So they love or hate you. That's it.
Yeah.
Darryl
Yeah.
knows. I think Daryl's in
Love
the
or hate.
comments there.
Oh,
They
yeah.
love or hate. They're like, I can't wait to see you on that show. And the other one's like, those guys are douches. I stopped
Yeah.
watching them. And
Yeah, I
Yeah.
stopped watching
actually, sorry,
those guys.
I do have a question. I have a question before you go.
Yeah,
And there was like other things, or like tell them this, and like you have the trolls and douchebags and whatever, and you could ask him compare how many homes you
houses?
sell
Yeah.
compared to what he sells, and like whatever. It's like you just make up some numbers or whatever we want to compete. But the best one was ask them their vaccination status and
Right.
if they had a fake vax pass or something.
Yeah. I'll tell you this.
That'll tell you.
I
Yeah.
was in the States and I had to get back to Canada. And I had to go the night before my flight, and I had to go onto Fiverr and send them a copy of somebody else's and put my name on it so that I could
Yeah.
cross the border and get back into Canada.
Oh yeah, I was
yeah.
going to
You know?
I was going to like to the bars with my buddies, and I'm like, I got the one printed out. My sister, someone gave it to me. I edited it, the PDF. I'm like, hey, I got the pass here, and then they came out with the QR code. I was like, ah, shit.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. This
listen,
is pre QR. This is August 2021. It was pre QR code.
Yeah.
we just hid out in our house for a long time until we kind of thought the coast was clear, and then we made the fake ones too, so I could go
Yeah.
to Jeremiah Shamus's Christmas party. Sorries
Nice.
to everybody there that I infected with my non-COVID and my
The
non.
party, they asked you to bring the thing.
I wanted to go to the party, but I didn't get
You had to ha-
vaccinated, and
You
I
had
was
to,
like,
you had to
you
show
know,
it at the door.
This has been a while. Yeah, to get in, I had to show it.
See what they
Then
made
I-
us do? Like,
I felt
it's like
bad.
it's like
I felt
they,
bad.
people should be in jail for
Listen.
this, and then the shit we have to go through.
TK got
can't come in.
vaccinated and
can't-
Oh boy.
phone it faked it. How come?
I got the one and then I faked it. Yeah.
Why? But
So-
you got vaccinated and you had to fake it?
Yeah. So
How?
because I had to get the
didn't get the
second one to
booster?
be able to get on the plane.
7 boosters like my parents?
So I meet people from like YouTube and stuff, and I meet them, and then like back when I started doing this 2022, and then you'd like meet them at a coffee shop, discuss whatever, and then something comes up about that, and they're all like us. Everyone who watches YouTube, they're all like the same as us. Like it's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I can't believe how many people. I'm like, did anyone get vaccinated in this country? Like, is everyone
Oh, yeah.
lying?
My whole family and all my friends. But guys, I got another meeting.
Yeah.
This
Thanks,
was a
John.
wonderful.
We appreciate
wonderful
it.
Discussion.
Look forward to the
Appreciate
next time you're coming
Yeah,
on
for
the
sure.
show.
Thanks,
and,
guys. It was
Really appreciate
anybody who
it.
watches our channel and doesn't watch yours, they should go check it out.
I think
Awesome.
it's the other way around. But anybody watching from your channel, you should sub right now.
sounds good. Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so much, guys.
Thanks.
All right. See
All
ya.
right.
Take
Take
it
care,
easy.
guys. So that was interesting. We got John Flynn on the show. Obviously,
Finally.
everyone always thinks it's so controversial and that
Oh
we don't
my
have
God.
anything in common and everything like that. He's just like us. He's a YouTuber. He makes videos. He talks about the market. He shares his
Yeah.
opinion.
He was
was
a
it.
lot looser than I expected him. Like I thought he was going to be a little more reserved.
He's
and,
professional on his channel, but he's just
yeah.
a regular guy like us. That's all.
regular guy,
Tootin'.
gun-toting Canadian.
Absolutely.
Right?
Nothing wrong with that too. So I
I
mean, he
love-
shared a lot of stuff about the 90s. He's got a lot of good data. He's got a lot of good points.
I loved his perspective on the entrance to Toronto and it being
Yeah.
apocalyptic and actually
From
just kind of
somebody not from Toronto. Yeah.
right, like
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
picturing that driving in on the Gardner and seeing like just a whole mess of buildings and
Yeah.
smog and God knows what.
When I drive down the DVP and I head out into the Gardiner and start heading west into the city, I think it's one of the most beautiful feelings in a car that I can possibly have in Toronto. I love that view when I start seeing all the buildings and stuff, but I live in the East End, so maybe that's fortunate for me.
You
right?
kind of got to go right through the heart of it, right? Don't you take
Yeah.
the 401 from the airport and go
401
home?
DVP Gardiner. I just said that.
Gardner again, eh? All right. Well,
No,
listen.
401 DVP Gardiner. That's how you get downtown.
This is how the pros do it. They get bigger, better pros on their channels. They don't just bring on anybody. But we got an action-packed lineup, TK. We are
do.
just having a What a great year this has been so
2025.
far, right? January
2025 is going to be our year.
It's going to
Canadian
be
Real
our
Estate Show.
year. Absolutely.
Like,
Or
comment,
whatever.
and subscribe.
That's right. And drop a comment and tell us a good idea for another new name for the show, because I think we're going to change it, right, TK?
We are. And
That's
that
the
we
plan.
are going bigger than real estate.
I'm voting for the Steve Karras show, but you tell us what you think, everyone. TK, what's your front runner at the moment?
It's probably going
The
to
TK
be
Butler show?
Terminator 5000.
Terminator 5000. Well, I guess we'll put that
We'll
up
vote
for a
on it.
vote. Hopefully that loses. But TK, always a pleasure, my friend.
Sounds good.
Go
I know.
go and sell a whole ton of houses, TK.
That's what I'm on my way to do.
Unbelievable.